Today on PDX Stew, we'll be baking with Portland native Julia Ford. Julia is a talented and passionate baker who turned her love for dishing up sweet treats into something more and is now the proprietor of Coco and Lola, a full-service catering and event management company here in town. We'll have music by Erst and Renko artist Maze Kuroma and a video from the incomparable Julia Calabresi. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of PDX Stew. This is your friend G Money here, and today we are in North Portland in the Piedmont neighborhood in the home of Julia Ford. And Julia is a baker here in town and is the proprietor of a catering business named Coco and Lola.
That is correct.
Awesome, awesome. So what made you want to get involved in catering here in Portland?
I grew up with strong women in my family who loved to bake and traveled abroad for a year living off of a camp stove. And when I got back, I was really stoked to be in the kitchen creating things and decided that I was going to try baking as a career.
It's pretty exciting to be baking today because I'm not really a baker, so I might learn something with you guys today. What are we going to be working on here?
We're making a lemon chiffon cake with lemon curd and fresh berries.
So we're going to get started on our batter. So is there anything special about our batter today?
So this is a sponge cake, but it's not a typical sponge. You whip the eggs really hard and then incorporate the sugar and technically cream them together. In many other sponge recipes, you would separate out the egg yolks and whites.
So let's get started on our batter. So in front of me, I've got all of our dry ingredients that are going to go into the batter. So we've got about 240 grams of flour. We've got about 40 grams of our cornmeal. We've got 12 grams of baking powder that's going to go in there. We've got 10 grams of just some regular salt and 20 grams of some poppy seed. So now everything's going to get sifted into the bowl. And when you're sifting it, you're going to get a nice distribution and a really fine...
Dump it in there. There you go.
You want everything to go in here together?
Not the cornmeal or the poppy seeds. They won't sift, but you can go ahead and put the powder and the salt in.
Cool. So we'll throw our baking powder in there and our salt. And we'll start that sifting into the bowl. So we just shake that around, and as it falls in, that's nice and granular.
All right, we're sifted. You can go ahead and dump the cornmeal and the poppy seeds in.
Cool.
And then we can get started on lemon zest.
So we're adding about a whole lemon's worth of zest into here.
You want to zest right over whatever you're trying to capture the lemon essence into, because oils are actually released during the zesting process.
I'm just using a microplane to take the zest off of this lemon. Now, you're not really going all the way through the pith and into the peel. You're just taking that colored surface off of the lemon, and that's going right into the bowl.
Basically means as soon as you hit white, stop.
Exactly.
So we want to wind up with about 2 tablespoons or 20-ish grams of lemon zest, but it really depends on your personal preference. The more lemon you put in there, the more it's going to taste like lemon.
So we've got all of our dries in the bowl here with the fresh lemon zest. So over on the stove here, we've got some cream and some butter, and we want to get that kind of melting. We're going to start melting that butter down into the cream and get that a little warmed up.
So we're going to dump 4 eggs right in here and start it mixing with just the eggs. And the idea is to incorporate a lot of air in here before we mix in any other ingredients. So we're just gonna put it on medium, which is like a 4 or a 6 on your KitchenAid blender. We'll let that go about 4 to 5 minutes, just incorporating air. In the meantime, we've got our heavy cream and butter on the stove. So we are gonna slow the mixer down and add in the sugar. And convention would say to add it slowly, but I think it's got enough air in there, and I just generally dump the whole thing right in. We're gonna kick it up to like an 8 now. So we are fully creamed over here. We're gonna turn our mixer down, and we're gonna mix in about 2 teaspoons of vanilla and a teaspoon of almond extract. And we are going to pretty much immediately follow that by dumping in our dries. And you can go ahead and turn your mixer all the way off for this. It just makes it so that you're gonna have less go flying all over. As soon as we're like semi-mixed in with our dries, we're gonna dump in the cream and the butter.
And that's okay to add in hot?
So you actually want to add it in hot, and I am not a scientist, but I think it breaks down the gluten just enough to get everything fully incorporated. And as soon as the batter starts to come together, I always stop the mixer, and I'll do the last couple turns by hand to make sure that we don't overbeat it, which is what can typically result in a very tough cake.
Oh, that looks really good. So let me make some space here, and we've got a pan ready to go, and then we've got another one on this side. So you just lay down a sheet of parchment paper flat on your table, and we can just flip our cake pan over and get a good tracing of that. And then we just need to come back through and cut out this circle.
And we'll go ahead and get the pan ready while he's cutting. I really like this baking spray. It's not the most natural thing in the world, but your cakes never stick.
So we'll just drop that in there, press that nice and secure to the sides of the pan, and we'll spray that one more time.
All right, now we're ready to rock and roll. So if you work in a bakery, you would actually weigh the batter as you put it into each pan to make sure that both of your layers are exactly even. We are not currently in a professional bakery, and so we are not going to do that. We're going to eyeball it. Remember that I hand mix this, so I know the batter is all evenly incorporated within this bowl, and I'm just going to go ahead and eyeball. That looks like a solid half.
Wow, good eye. Those are good and even cakes. We've got our oven preheated to 350 degrees, and we're just going to pop these in, and they're going to go for about 25 to 35 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break, so take a look at this.
Hey. Now, let's enjoy it. No pressure, no titles, no mercy, no resting, no rivals, no bullshit, no following, no idols, no faking, no hating, no way out, no doubt, no lie. Nice to know you. Nosy people, no business, no future, no past, no history, no culture, no limit like them and old soldiers. Out the bottle, no cup, no coaster, no question, no mystery, no wonder, no fiction, no friction, no lightning. No striking, no thunder, no hunger. No choice, I ain't going nowhere. No choice, I ain't going nowhere. For no reason, no season, no springing, no summer, but you'll always be.
And you'll always be my sunshine. And you'll always be. And you'll always be my sunshine. What's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. And you'll always be my sunshine. And you'll always be. And you'll always be my sunshine. What's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. What's mine is yours. And you'll always be. And you'll always be my sunshine. What's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. What's mine is yours.
And you'll always be. Yeah, you'll always be my sunshine. What's mine is yours and what's yours is.
There you go again, damn, here we go again. After Osiris in your stereo again. Happily ever after in another shot of gin. Like damn, they said pot got shot again. Nobody came to answer, so I had to knock again. Wanted encore, so I had to rock again. Get it real offensive, so I had to lock them in. Talking full core pressure and they started rock again. Travel all the time just to beat the clock again. Watched it all unravel, it was never tight again. Another group of freshmen, man, I'm getting tight again. That's another group of critics, still believe the hype again. Another DM, I might lay the pipe again. That's another roll joint disappearing in the wind. Another glass of wine, next level once again. Love to watch you rise, we hours of the AM.
Always be my sunshine. Hey, always be my sunshine. Hey, always be my sunshine. What's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. Hey, always be my sunshine. Always be my sunshine. Always be my sunshine. What's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. What's mine is yours.
Welcome back to PDX Stew, everybody. So we just put our cakes in the oven. What are we going to be doing here with all this stuff?
So we're going to make some lemon curd next, which is going to be the filling of our cake.
Cool, so we're gonna start by adding some sugar. So we've got about 300 grams of sugar here. That's going into our bowl.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna start zesting some lemons. So we zested and juiced 3 whole lemons into 300 grams of sugar here in the bowl.
And there is 1 stick or a 1/4 pound of butter as well. We're gonna put that all on the KitchenAid and get that creaming. Basically meaning that we're incorporating the sugar and the butter and whipping the crap out of it so that it's like light and fluffy and beautiful. So we're gonna start low. And once I get the sense that my sugar and butter are coming together and they kind of look like sand, I'll increase the speed and we'll start creaming. I would leave it on for about 4 minutes. In the meantime, we can start separating eggs for our buttercream.
Oh, okay, cool.
And this is something where the eggs being room temperature is really important. We are going to make a lot of buttercream. You might have some left over, but that's okay. It can keep in the fridge for up to 10 days and in the freezer for up to 6 months.
So we're just coming after the whites here. So what do you want me to do with your yolks?
So I got this out for the yolks. You can go ahead and put the shells back in here.
Okay.
And you can save the yolks for something like pastry cream later or get rid of them, whatever you want to do. I always save them. So in the meantime, I'm gonna scrape down my bowl that has the butter and sugar creaming in it to make sure that everything has the chance to get fully incorporated. Make sure you turn your mixer fully off. You don't wanna stick anything in there while it's moving. And we're just gonna get in there and then turn it back on.
So this is the best way I know how to separate an egg, and you just kind of pass it back and forth in your shell until you've got just yolk kind of moving around.
And a good trick is that if you get any yolk into the white part, you can actually use the shell of the egg and fish out the yellow or the yolk, and it has this weird attraction, and it allows you to separate it out. I hope that we don't have that problem. It looks immaculate as of right now.
Of course, as she says that, I drop some yolk in so we can see. Oh my God, look at that, it sucked it right in.
Isn't that a cool trick? All right, I'm gonna start adding the eggs into our butter and sugar and zest mixture one at a time. After 2 eggs, stop and give it a good mix to make sure that everything stuck on the bottom of the mixer gets fully incorporated. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw in the salt and the lemon juice. And once that's all kind of mixed in, I'm gonna dump it onto the stove and start to cook it on low heat. You definitely don't want it to come to a boil, but you wanna do it until it thickens and coats the back of a spoon, which will take about 10 minutes. It's not something that you have to be stirring constantly at the beginning, but you definitely don't wanna take your eye off of it. So we can see that our lemon curd is done. It's thickened up really nicely, and we'll go ahead and pour it through this strainer and let it cool. In the meantime, the cakes also need to come out of the oven. And you can see they're pretty golden brown on the top. We're gonna let them cool in their tins for about 10 minutes before we turn them over.
So now we're gonna work on our buttercream. So what's going on here?
So we have 10 ounces or 280 grams of white sugar, 10 ounces or 10 egg whites, and just a little bit of salt, 1.5 pounds of butter, unsalted, and 1/4 pound of cream cheese. So we are going to go ahead and incorporate the whites with the sugar, and we're gonna whip them together, and we're gonna go ahead and put this on a water bath, which is just a saucepan with a couple inches of water in it, and we're going to pasteurize the eggs. So we're gonna heat them to 160 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, so we're using this kind of like a double boiler. So we're gonna get that heat going, and that's gonna create a buffer between the hot water and the bowl, and it's gonna heat it nice and slow.
So this will take about 10 minutes, and I have an awesome little thermometer. You can use a candy thermometer. The issue is that 160 degrees is actually relatively low temp. So a meat thermometer is a better tool for this. So we're at 160 degrees. We're gonna take our pasteurized egg and sugar right off of the burner and put it onto the mixer and use the whisk attachment to whip it. And we're gonna put it on high and we're gonna go until it's cool to the touch. As the meringue comes together and starts to get light and fluffy, it's gonna go all over because we're at capacity in terms of what this mixture can handle. So I always take a clean kitchen towel and put it over the top. You wanna let all the steam come out so that it cools down. So our sugar and egg white mixture is at temperature, and we're gonna start to slowly incorporate the butter and the cream cheese. Butter first, then cream cheese. Very little bits at a time, and it will come together in this really light, fluffy, awesome buttercream. So this is a messy process. You're definitely just going for it. Make sure you have clean hands. And you're gonna go a little bit at a time, and the mixture will break, kind of. It'll become liquidy, and then it will slowly come back together as the fat gets fully incorporated. Everything is fully incorporated into the buttercream. I'm gonna add in just a little bit of salt because we used unsalted butter, and some vanilla and almond extract. So I'm gonna reduce the speed and add in both. I'm gonna kick it back up a little bit and let it fully mix. We're looking pretty good.
Awesome, that looks really beautiful. So we've got a fully incorporated buttercream, guys. We've got a couple of cakes that are cooling off, some lemon curd in the fridge. We're gonna take a real quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna put this beautiful cake together for you. We'll be right back. Welcome back to PDX Stew, everybody. So we've got all of our components in front of us. We've also brought out some simple syrup. Now, a simple syrup is usually a 1-to-1 water to sugar ratio, and you just boil the water, add your sugar in, and once that's dissolved, that's ready to chill, and you can use that for all kinds of things. So what are we going to be doing with our simple syrup today?
So we're going to take the cakes, and we have some pretty level cakes right now, which is nice. Sometimes we would take a serrated knife and cut the top off, but this looks great to me. We're gonna use the simple syrup to soak the sponge, and you can apply it pretty generously all over the top of the cake. And that's just gonna keep it nice and moist. We're gonna just flip this around and do this guy as well. I'm just gonna do a quick layer of buttercream on the outside here. And we're gonna go ahead and dump lemon curd in the middle of the cake. And depending on how you want your cake to look when it's done, you could put all the lemon curd in the middle or save some for the top. We're gonna save some for the top. And we're gonna go ahead and put berries down. We're using raspberries, blueberries, we've got some strawberries as well. Again, this is to your taste or the taste of your guests, but I think that you can never have too many berries. All right, so we are gonna go ahead and stack this next layer up here, and we're gonna do a quick crumb coat. So all a crumb coat does is seal in the moisture of the cake and ensure that none of the brown cake crumbles will get on the outer layer of frosting. So I do it pretty quickly, just want to even everything out, and then I'll shove it in the freezer for about 15 minutes to let it firm up and finish frosting. So the crumb coat's all set up, and we are now going to make it so you don't see any of the cake. And we're just going to get a nice coating of buttercream around the whole thing. And this is where you can get creative. I have a piping bag, and we'll make the top look all good, but I sort of like the sides to be really simple, and you'll see that I kind of just slather it on, and then I'll go around it with a clean offset spatula, which is what this is, and even all the sides out. when you go around, and we can go a little bit more rustic looking, we're gonna put lemon curd all over the top, but you can see I sort of made these mountains, and I'll just use my spatula to smooth it out over the top of the cake. This is also a really good way to level your cake and see where you might need more frosting. Once we get to a good place and we're happy with the cake, it looks level, it's relatively evenly frosted all over. You can get the spatula wet with hot water, and because the cake had the crumb coat and then went into the freezer, the frosting can kind of handle a little bit of heat. And you'll see if you want like a really pretty edge, you would go around with a clean and slightly wet spatula. I'm gonna take a clean board, which is what I would ultimately display the cake on, and I'm gonna take it off of the turntable. So we're just gonna put it right on the board, and you can see I kind of screwed up the frosting on that end. This is the beauty of cake decorating. There are like no wrong moves. You can always fix it. So I'm just gonna go back through now that I have a pretty surface for my cake to rest on and do kind of a final frosting here. Just like we created the barrier between the lemon curd and the frosting for the middle of the cake, we're gonna do the same thing on the top of the cake, but make it look a little bit nicer, and then we're gonna fill it all in with lemon curd. Normally, if I was gonna put fresh berries on a cake, I would use simple syrup, actually a little bit thicker than the stuff we use to soak the cake layers, to coat them and make them look all pretty. But because there's lemon curd here, if you glaze the berries first and put them on top, they'll leach into the lemon curd and it doesn't look that great. So we're just gonna do fresh berries right on top. All right, we're done.
So here's our beautiful cake. So Julia, why don't we cut into this big thing? That looks gorgeous.
Let's do it.
Yes.
It was kind of a honking piece, but
that's okay. I enjoy cake. Look at that. So we've got all of our lemon curd in the middle there and the fresh berries, the beautiful spongy cake, the buttercream set up just perfectly. Julia Ford, I want to thank you so much for letting us into your home today.
Yeah,
and letting
thanks
us
for being here.
Work on this gorgeous, gorgeous cake. Friends, I hope you had a great time. I am going to dig in and take a bite of this big guy, and oh my gosh, that was really nice. Thanks for joining us on PDX Stew, and we'll see you again real soon.
Bye.
Awesome.
Are you an artist, musician, or an innovator looking to showcase your work? Have you created a video you'd like to see on the show? Are you looking to address an issue that affects your community? Maybe you'd like to be one of our guest cooks, or just get involved. Folks of all ages, women, people with disabilities, persons of color, and the LGBTQ community are encouraged to reach out. Hit us up at pdxstewshow@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook for the latest news and events.